Thank you, Dr. Tim. And when Michael gets on, I will mention the Rakhma and Khooba. Good thought.
All right. Have a great show.
Thanks. So welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. And today is Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2021. And their call-in number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you in the queue to talk to us. And we'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. And sounds like today has been a good day with callers calling in, and that's awesome, and we hope it continues through our second hour. We'll give Michael just a moment to dial in, and I'll invite you to go to our website, which is whyagain.org, and you can click on the bullseye or the start here in the upper corner, and both of those take you to the same page, and that is where you'll find worksheets, Michael's book, lots of information. And put the tools to work in your life, and then call this show if you need support, or if you want to talk about something, or if you just want to listen. And we're glad that you're here. And I told Michael this morning, and I wish he'd be, there he is. I told Michael this morning this is Groundhog Day, and we actually were up where that movie was made one year, and so it's a cute movie if you've never seen it. It's with Bill Murray, and it's about redoing the same thing over and over again, just like, why is this happening to me again? And it keeps happening until he gets to the space where he can do it out of true connected love, and then his life changes. Welcome, Michael. Also, before you get started too, left over from the first hour, was they want a discussion, a further explanation of setting Rakhma and Khooba to get back to a space of love. So welcome.
Okay. Well, delighted to be here. Honored to have everybody involved in the conversation that moves forward the understanding of first century Aramaic forgiveness on a global scale. That's what we're here to do, is to make sure these tools become available. So Jeanie, the question was about how to set Rakhma and Khooba. That still needs to be answered?
Yeah. Mary had actually been on, and she said that you used to talk about the exercise of resetting Rakhma and Khooba to get back to the space of connected love when something less than love is up in your face. And
yes.
So perhaps for those who aren't familiar with that, give a further explanation of what that means, resetting Rakhma and Khooba, and how do you do that?
Sure. Well, hey, Mary, glad to hear you're here. And let's talk about Rakhma and Khooba a little bit before we go into our reading for today. So in the Aramaic language, the words that Yeshua used when they asked him, what's most important in the law, were not what the Greeks translate for us, where the Greeks tell us, he said that the most important thing in the law was to love the Creator, love your neighbor as yourself. Is this totally, completely errant translation, just way out in left field, and leaves people in a space where they're deeply misled, because so many people try to effort this thing of loving your neighbor. And my offering is, it's an impossibility. You can't love your neighbor. You've never loved anyone, and nobody has ever loved you. And nobody is ever going to love you, and God doesn't love you. And there's a reason for that. And until we understand, what happens is we set, since the mind is a goal-oriented device, if we set goals that are based in incorrect understanding and incorrect language, then we continuously try to do something that's impossible to do. Let's imagine that I tell you, you don't know anything about cars. You come here from another planet. You don't know anything about cars, and you need to fund your travel. You need to get a fund together. And I explain to you that out in the driveway, there's a brand new Ferrari worth about $250,000. And there's a Volkswagen bus, 1986. It's worth about $300. And I explained to you that if you want to, get the money, all you need to do is get in the Ferrari, drive it 2 blocks away, and when you drive into the parking lot 2 blocks away, somebody will buy the car from you for $250,000. And then I give you a description of a Ferrari. And what I describe for you is a Volkswagen bus. Keys for both vehicles. You walk out of the parking lot, and obviously, I gave you a picture. I gave you a description. I told you what a Ferrari looked like, but I lied to you. I told you a false definition. And you get in the Volkswagen bus, and you drive 2 blocks away, and they hand you $200. And you say, what happened? I just brought you a Ferrari. I was told I was going to get $250,000. No, you set a goal based on your misunderstanding, based on something that wasn't true, and you achieved the goal that you set. You drove away in a Ferrari, in a Volkswagen, thinking you were driving away in a Ferrari. Well, it's a pretty good analogy for the difference between what Yeshua said when the Greeks translated it incorrectly as love your neighbor. In Aramaic, he didn't say to love your neighbor at all. He said have Rakhma for your neighbor. Now, if I think that it says love your neighbor, and I've been taught a false definition that love is a verb, something I can do, then I'm going to try to do, and do. But you'll notice if there's hostility or fear in you, and you want to love your neighbor, but your neighbor comes up and resonates your rage, your fear, your guilt, what have you, it's impossible to do that thing of loving your neighbor, because loving your neighbor isn't a verb, because love isn't something we do. It's what we are. Now, the best way I know how to define that is just hold a newborn child. When you hold a newborn and you tap into the essence of the newborn, you get an experience of what love is. And then I ask you, as you're holding the newborn and tapping into the essence of the newborn, is the newborn loving you, or is the newborn love? Well, clearly the newborn is not loving you. The newborn is love. Love is a state of being. It's what we are. It's not something we can do. It's not an action we do. It's not something we give to somebody else. It's not something we can get from somebody else. But we've been told that a Ferrari is a Volkswagen. We've been given the wrong definition. So when I realized that love is a word that describes what each of us is, and then I go to the directive that was given when they said to Yeshua, what's most important in the law, we hear him say, not love your neighbor, but have Rakhma for your neighbor. And Rakhma, it turns out, is a filter in the frontal lobes of the brain. It's a filter and a gateway. First and foremost, it is the opening, the entryway for love into human form. We say to people, we say that, somebody has a so-called body, and it's a human body, therefore they're human. My offering is that's not accurate, that's not true. Because one has a human form does not mean there is a human life. If Rakhma is closed, then there is no human life. We have hostility and fear. They become the active conditions, ultimately in the mind, where the gateway, Rakhma, is closed, because love, that state of being, our created essence, is locked out of awareness. So what Yeshua said was have Rakhma, and that was keep this gateway open that allows human life to enter human form. Now you experience yourself as love, and so we could more correctly translate Yeshua's words as be a human being, be the space of active present love for the Creator, for your neighbor. And by so doing, you maintain your human life. Not love your neighbor, love the Creator as yourself. But it was the way that you maintained your human life. So this filter, Rakhma, this gateway, allows human life into this human form. And its secondary function as a filter is that it filters out intentions that are negative or destructive, and leaves us with only intentions keyed to love available through the frontal lobes of the brain. So now we have Rakhma, we have intentions keyed to love, and those intentions keyed to love then flow, once we select one. Intentions basically are the raw material of goals. You know, we have people writing books about the power of intention. Excuse me, intention has no power whatsoever. That's why the ancients, they understood this one. They said that, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You can have all the good intentions in the world, but if you don't take those intentions and turn them into goals, then those goals will not bring forward behavior based in love, will not bring forward perceptions based in love, and you'll find yourself doing things based in hostility or fear. So first and foremost, there's this filter in the frontal lobes of the brain called Rakhma, and then in the back of the brain there was a second filter that was called Khooba. And Khooba is a filter over perceptions that allows only units of perceptual memory that are keyed to love to be used in building the perceptual output of your mind. The other two options are hostility and fear. If fear is active, we can look at any object of attention, and that object of attention will become the source of threat in us, because our perceptual constructs, when we look through the field filter, will always be threatening to us. If we look at an object of attention through the hostility filter, then that object of attention becomes, or seems to be, the source of irritation for us. So let's say we've got somebody that we're in relationship with, and I say, I love you, using the word love inappropriately as a verb. I love you, I honor you, I cherish you, I will honor you forever. And then they give you the look. What happens? 2 seconds later, this person that you thought you were so in love with, all of a sudden becomes the source of irritation. Why? What happened in that 2-second interval? A different filter was activated, and when hostility is active in the mind, when that's the active filter, then perceptual constructs, perceptual data based in love are not available. They're blocked. And so one becomes irritated. Or one can look at, you know, I mean, let's take the example of a person who's charged for shaking a baby, for injuring a baby. And this person, parent, says, oh, my child, I love my child so much. I love my child so much. And then their hostility filter becomes activated. And the crying child, all of a sudden, becomes a source of threat. And they turn and abuse the child. What happened to this object of so-called love? Not understanding how one's own mind operates. And this person who says, you know, I really cherish my child, I believe them 2,000%. But if a different filter becomes active, that cherishing can turn to irritation or threat literally in about a 25th of a second. So in the ancient Aramaic, one of the things they said was, perfect love casts out fear. And perfect love in the mind would be Rakhma and Khooba set together. So Rakhma over intentions gives us intentions keyed to love. Khooba over perceptions give us perception keyed to love. Now, what did they say happens? Perfect love, those two filters set, casts out fear. So you can't build a fear or an hostility-based perception about any object of attention if Rakhma and Khooba are set. Now, there's several ways you can go about setting those filters. One is, you remember we've talked about this power called Ruka-Dakucha. And Ruka-Dakucha in Aramaic is a feminine elemental force in us that is there to support us. It undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. So you can ask that power. The Greeks translated those words as the Holy Spirit. But there's nothing in the Aramaic about a disembodied spirit being. It speaks of literally a feminine elemental force that's there to support us. a power that will undo the effects of our errors and teach us the truth. So one of the ways to set those filters is to ask that power for help. Look, I need help in setting Rakhma and Khooba. Teach me, show me. And when that desire becomes deep enough, then I will have the ears to hear the guidance on how to set those filters in my mind. Another way to set them is by going to a mirror, looking in the mirror, tapping into the deepest, clearest love that you can find, and sending that love to yourself in the mirror. Perhaps even reaching your hand out to the one hand out to the heart in the mirror, your heart in the mirror, and the other hand to your actual heart. And tapping into and focusing on that love. And as you extend that presence of love, there will be a tendency for those filters to move into operation. Another way to do it is to get yourself centered and focused and allow yourself, as you focus on love, to smile. And as you smile, imagine and let yourself feel the energy of your smile moving up the front of your face into the frontal lobes of the brain. Be with that and let that energy move. And what that will do is it will tend to activate this filter that was called Rakhma. And then that activated, because Rakhma and Khooba are interconnected and interrelated filters, your desire to have them set as Rakhma is set will tend to also activate Khooba. So there's a little bit of information on setting those filters. And when I set those filters, I can look at a situation that yesterday was, perhaps terribly disturbing for me because, let's say, I was in that fear place, so everything's threatening to me because my perceptual content is based in fear, and therefore, whatever the object of attention is, how could a 250-pound grown man look at their newborn child that they cherish so much and be threatened by that newborn? Guess how it happens? Fear is set. Fear is active. And so when I enter into the practice of activating both Rakhma and Khooba and live from that space, I'm going to get the opportunity to forgive everything in my mind, in my genes, in my emotions, it's based in hostility or fear. That's the process I'll be entering into. And that's the process of this work, is the facing of and the removal of those things. And to face and remove those things means I'm going to get the opportunity to do it. The circumstances are going to be so organized that the opportunity to look at those things in myself, to own them, and then to apply forgiveness in order to remove those things is what will happen. And as I move forward, I'll lighten the load of hostility or fear and strengthen and make it more of a habit to keep Rakhma and Khooba active in my mind. It's interesting, a few years back I was traveling with the Khabor's manuscript. We were getting high-res digital images made of it, and we found a congregation of a church in Southern California that was an Aramaic-speaking group. Took the manuscript to them, and they read from it for us. We went to one of their services, and they took it up front and read from it. And in conversation with these folks, one of the questions we asked was the meaning of this word Rakhma. This goes back to 30 years ago when we were working to understand the meaning of that word. And this group of native Aramaic-speaking people said, we've lost the meaning of that word. We don't know exactly what it means, but our tradition says that it is one of the most precious jewels you could ever possess. And so this condition in the mind is clearly the most precious jewel you could possess. And so I hope that makes sense. And if there are any questions, our call-in number if you want to talk about it and have a deeper interaction, that can sometimes be a little bit awkward by chat room messages. The call-in number is 563-999-3581. And so if there's any other question or comment, let's talk about it. This most precious jewel we discovered is this filter in the frontal lobes of the brain that keeps the brain on track with love and is a gateway for the actual created essence of who we are as love to enter into our human forms. So, Miss Jeanie, do we have any other comment there or any other thoughts before I move forward and do a little bit of reading from Groundhog Day, from Why Is This Happening to Me Again?
All the hands that are up were addressed by Dr. Chen, so I think you're open to go with your reading.
Okay, cool. So we're now heading to chapter 4, and if you've got the book there, we're on page 19. And the title of chapter 4 is Feelings, Our Guidance System. Feelings are the primary feedback mechanism for the human being. The goal of this work is to present tools with which to explore life, feelings, and the truth about the world. Our next goal is to demonstrate how to use these tools to inspire each person we contact to put them to work. Let's look at feelings from a different perspective than the norm. Feelings come from within. No one can make you feel angry. And we might want to actually, this was not a refinement that I had back 30 years ago when I wrote this book, as distinguishing between feelings and emotions. We really should be using the word emotions here. Emotions are reflections of thoughts. Thoughts held within create our emotions. Feelings would be more sensations that we experience in our physiology. Emotions can lead to sensations in our physiology, therefore feelings. But the emotions themselves are reflections of thought. And what I'm really addressing here in this chapter is emotions. So it should really be the title, a new edit of the book from 30 years ago today would be Emotions, Our Guidance System. So emotions come from within. No one can make you angry, sad, afraid, or anything else. Others, however, can certainly trigger the cause of emotions you hold. It takes a significant shift of mind to see that the cause of pain is eternal. Grasping the truth of this premise is difficult for most people because they've spent their entire lives investing in the belief that someone else has the power to make them emotional. The first step required in order to integrate any new idea is to let go of the old conflicting beliefs. No one can simultaneously take responsibility for his or her life while blaming someone else. And this made to be responsible, the output of the internal mechanism is free to change. Our realities change. Richard, freeing yourself from the belief that any person, place, thing, or event or circumstance causes you to feel requires a new look at reality and an undoing of the clouds of the past. When you are angry, you have caused your own anger. When there's fear, fear is of your own making. That's ridiculous. Why would I make myself angry? How can I make myself angry? Emotions are a result of what happens in my life, Richard protested. Would you be willing to do an experiment that's designed to give you the direct experience of what causes your emotions? Sure, Richard says. Once you do this exercise, there's no turning back to blame because its conclusion is so simple. It can be denied. Jeanie just came and adjusted my microphone for me. I lost my place. Okay. It can be denied, but only temporarily. The direct experience lies in the mind as a seed that will, sooner or later, bear the fruit of responsibility for every aspect of your life. I'm really not sure I'm ready for that, but I guess it's time. Let's go for it. Okay. If you would, close your eyes, and I'm going to describe the exercise so everyone who's listening, if you would. Unless you're driving, of course, close your eyes. I'm going to ask you to let yourself experience some emotions. First, allow yourself to experience sadness. Intensify the sadness. Take a deep breath and let go of your sadness. Let yourself feel anger. Intensify the anger. Take a deep breath. Notice where the anger is in your physiology. And as you breathe, let go of your anger. Allow yourself to go to the emotion of fear. For a moment, notice where the fear exists in your physiology. Take a deep breath and let go of that fear. Now for a moment, let yourself feel pain. Place your hand wherever you're experiencing the pain. Richard placed his hand on his forehead as he held his breath. Now open your eyes. Notice where your hand is, Richard. Your hand is showing you where you hold the energy that causes your pain. If you learn to change that energy, healing happens. If you don't, that is where your disease processes will tend to manifest. And so we're just going to hold a space on that thought and recognize that what our emotions do is they warn us. They give us information. And the primary piece of information that they give us is a warning signal for where we are holding dis-ease energy. As we allow ourselves to become aware of how we impose dis-ease energy upon ourselves, as one lets go of the blame game, one starts to confront how it is that they cause their pain. And as you confront that, you have the option of totally and completely ridding yourself of that pain. As you do that, because your attention will not be distracted by pain, you'll start to become much, much more aware of the subtle energy patterns within you and outside of you, and how to start to shift, especially those patterns within that keep you distracted from responsibility. And remember, perception is a construct of the mind. If I live in a state of denial, remember our definition of denial is when I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of what's happening inside of me, I'm now living in denial. When I live in denial, I have to set up an hallucination to take over and prove to me that my denial, my blame, my lie is true. So 100% of the time, you'll notice if you've been through a particular painful reality, 87 different times with 42 different people, you're the one that was there every time. But if you tell your mind, no, this isn't mine, they made me mad, then the mind has to generate literally a perceptual construct, documents for you that something or someone outside of you is the cause of your anger. So when we live in denial, we have to dissociate from a part of our own minds. When I say, you made me mad, I have to dissociate from the part of my mind where I self-generate anger. And once I dissociate from that part of my mind, it's no longer mine to deal with anymore. It's hidden from me. It's removed from my awareness, And I'm now focused on the hallucination, literally the reality generated by my mind that shows me that you're the cause of what's going on inside of me. Once I start to realize that my emotions are simply feedback that reflects certain qualities of energy that I hold within me, then the emotions that I choose to be finished with, I begin to apply forgiveness and remove those emotions. As I apply forgiveness and remove those emotions, I get to live in a different world. And we're here to support every mind, heart, and being living in that different world. In that world, having removed all mind energy that causes every form of hostility or fear, hostility and fear disappear. And we get to live truly as the active presence of love. Doesn't mean everything's going to be the way we want it to be. In fact, there's a powerful line in the Course in Miracles that says we must be aware of the distorting power of the way we want it to be. If I want it to be that you're to blame, I can totally and completely distort the perceptual output of my mind, and I'll hide from myself all of the evidence that proves to me that I'm the cause of my own disturbance and my own upset, and I'll have all kinds of evidence to prove that it's you. And you'll notice, if you hang out with people who play that game, they'll tell you about how this and that was all your fault. And then you prove to them totally and completely logically and without question how their blame of you is in error. And what do? If they stay in denial, they will instantly hallucinate a whole other reason for blaming you. They gave you one story, and when you proved that that story couldn't possibly be true, they, in their minds, totally, completely, transparently shifted to a whole other story. And I've watched people over the years working with people shift their story 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and never remembering that just 2 seconds ago, they said, well, the reason was because of this, and then when that was disproven, they shifted over to that, and literally they totally forget that they ever believed this or said this was the cause. So if you recognize yourself playing that game with people, you step into utilizing the forgiveness process, and you start to remove those energetic patterns, and you get to live in a world of peace, of serenity, of aliveness. And you get to stay in that place where Rakhma and Khooba are set. And even if things are not the way you want them to be, having handled disturbance, you're no longer, quote unquote, disturbed by that event. You may not like it. You may choose to do some work to change it. But you no longer blame the outside world because it becomes so obvious how you've done this to yourself. And so there's a chunk of work for everybody to do, and we'll move into questions and answers. We're just over the halfway point in the show. Jeanie, do we have anybody with a hand up on the phone queue or anything happening in the chat room? By the way, those who have been asking the last couple of days, I've been in a healing crisis with my back, how my back has been doing. I'll just say that last night, about 11 o'clock, I got up to get something. I ran downstairs to get something and came back upstairs. And it wasn't until after I got back into bed that I realized, I didn't even think about my back. Totally, completely gone. So what was that, a 3-day, 4-day healing crisis? It was pretty powerful and pretty sweet. And thank you, everybody, for your support, sending love in my direction.
Hey.
So, Miss Jeanie,
and we do
go for it.
We do have a hand. We do have a hand up, and it's 8:08. Awesome. I believe this is Roma. Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
Hey there, young lady.
Or afternoon,
Welcome.
whatever time. Oh, my goodness.
Well, we're in the afternoon. You're in the morning, so now we know time's an illusion. Something we made up.
Right.
It's a useful
exactly.
illusion. So.
Yeah, I'm
so what's
flying
on your
my
mind
flag.
today? How can
I have
we
a
support
global
you?
flag that I have had inside the house for years, and I decided to fly it outside on the fence outside my backyard.
Oh, cool.
So sweet to see that. You know, to have that perspective of being able to see the earth from a distance was so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I love the dialogue that
that
you were
song.
sharing about Rakhma and Khooba. The question that came into my mind was, does energy flow in and out through Rakhma? Is it a two-way thing?
Well, my take would be that, as a gateway, if it's closed down, it's blocking the presence of our created essence, love. And when we open it, then love gains admittance to the human mind and to the human form. And then as a filter, it filters out. Only one filter can be active at a time. And there's 3 different filters. There's Rakhma, there's hostility, and there's fear.
Yeah.
And so it then allows to pass into awareness intentions keyed to love when it's active. So I don't know whether that would be flowing in and out. There is a passage in the Aramaic where Yeshua says, and he's talking here about Khooba, the perceptual filter and the energy of perceptions keyed to love, and he makes a statement of, let my Rakhma be upon you. So as he speaks it, it sounds like it might be something similar to what in the East they called Shaktipat, where someone who's totally imbued with love can extend that love to another. Course in Miracles talks about extending love. So.
Wow. Oh wow, that's cool.
It is.
Yeah. Whew, boy.
They've done experiments with meditators and sent them into cities where, over time they've got certain measurements of violence in that city. And they've sent, 25 meditators in who spend time basically extending love. And they've shown time after time after time that violence throughout the whole city is reduced. So it is something we can, extend and share with another and support another with. For me, that's, if we go to the Aramaic translation of the words that the Greeks translate as the kingdom of heaven, it speaks of the community of love. And, imagine when we wake up one morning and, 7.5 billion people are waking up realizing that they are love and that they can extend that active presence of love to every other mind, heart, and being on the planet. Whoa. What kind of transformation is that going to look like? So that's what we're working toward.
Were you reading from your book?
Yes.
Or were you sharing with? What chapter and where were you reading from?
It was chapter 4.
Okay. Yeah, that was
Healing
really...
our guidance system, chapter 4. And you can download the book free from the website. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I did edit slightly as I explained that, back then I did not distinguish feelings from emotions, and it's something that I've come to distinguish now. So I did, as I was reading it, I did edit it and change the word feelings from the original writing to represent emotions where appropriate.
Yeah, thank you. I noticed that, and I remember being aware of that. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well, for those on the radio program who may not be aware, Michael has just begun his next 14-week series, and I'm in it. And big dose of healing opportunities coming up for me. Yeah, and so I woke up and, I dreamed, had a really intense emotional dream about my brother, who was 9 years older than I, and orally incested me when I was a baby. And so I was sort of, it was interesting because in the dream I was an adult, but he was continuing to just ignore my reality, which was how really he spent his life. And you know, we both found out about it on the same day when he was in a therapy session, and he remembered what had happened, and then the therapist said, "You've got to go and apologize to her," and he came right over and told me and apologized. And then 10 years later, when I was in the hospital with pneumonia, and he came to visit me in the hospital, I wanted to talk about it, and he said, "I never did that. I never said that." So he had gone, you know, it had gone back down
into denial,
the darkest recesses of his subconscious mind. And,
more than he could handle. Yeah. Well, we'll hold the space for that opening and that cleaning out, clearing up. So what's the thought that's moving in you right now that's creating this energy that you could be forgiving if you chose to?
That took me out of my heart and into my mind, trying to understand what those words mean.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say them again? What's the thought?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, what's the thought that had me crying just then?
Yeah. What took you from a conversation into that deep emotional state? Just inviting you to be conscious of the thought.
It has been there all morning long because of the dream and the frustration that I felt, and trying to locate him and trying to connect with him, because I've always loved him so much.
So am I hearing you say that there are thoughts of loss there then?
Yes. Well, I always felt that I was nobody, nothing to him.
So there are two pieces of work to do then.
Okay.
It sounds like time to forgive this thought that you're nobody and nothing. That'd be a really good one to let go of. Rama, I'd support you being free of that thought.
Okay. And the second one?
The thought that you can't find him or connect with him.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So would you be willing to cancel your need to find him and connect with him?
Yeah. Well, obviously, what... Can't find him or connect with him. I'm writing the words down so that I can work on it later.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah, that's this fear that's connected with that, not being able to find him.
Breathe. If you can breathe and cry at the same time, go for it.
Fear and anger, too.
But if you've got to choose one or the other, okay.
What? Yeah, when you said breathe, I felt the anger.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and when you were running through those emotions, I felt the love in my heart, the anger in my gut, the fear in my shoulders, and the pain in my sexual area. Well, it's moving.
Nice catch.
Energy's definitely moving.
Awesome. That was the exercise we just did, is notice where it is in your body. So that's a big step forward, to just notice where that energy is now. So that's where the thought disorder is stored. And now applying forgiveness to be able to remove that becomes your next step.
Something I've written down on this piece of paper that I'm writing on is fear of lack of memory. That's really, it's so embarrassing to be trying to talk to somebody and lose my memory and not be able to not be able to communicate, not be able to say what I'm trying to say. It's very, very frustrating.
Maybe it's time to cancel the goal to say what you want to say. And maybe you could just be in the present. And you don't need to have a past and a memory. Maybe you could just be as the presence of love.
Yeah. Well, that I think is how I have adapted to it on my own by myself. And I feel quite happy, actually, not having any expectations. It's in the interaction with other people where it becomes painful and traumatic.
Where it so notice the denial where it becomes painful. My offering would be that you notice that they're the places where you cause yourself pain. It isn't painful.
Yeah, I have some kind of expectation that I'm supposed to be able to communicate to people.
Yeah. And that probably ties back to that thought disorder that you touched into a couple of minutes ago about having no value, no worth.
Nobody, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And as you let go of all of that, then you probably will never have to go back to that one again. I'm in an I don't know state. Yeah, that's a good place to be.
It's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, it's perfect. And what if you just let yourself take a breath and receive that? The only thing you need to do to be of supreme value, the only thing you need to know is that the Creator put the breath of life in you.
Right.
Nothing else is required. No need to measure up to anybody or anything. Just, no. The Creator saw me worthy to put the breath in, so what else do I need?
What a relief. Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on stage. My mother was such a, she was so theatrically oriented that from, our friend in Boston, in Massachusetts, Susan, pointed out to me from her observation in our first Wednesday session. She said that I appeared to be concerned with how I was appearing, and I told her I'm sure that's probably true. So if I cut out my visual, you'll know why on the call on Wednesday night. Do you know what I'm saying?
And I'll invite you to stay. I got you loud and clear, and I'll invite you to stay connected and let yourself work through whatever thought disorders. I'd invite you. I mean, it's not a requirement. It's up to you. But I'd invite you to stay connected.
Still stay visual, or
visual.
What does that mean? Does that mean don't cut myself out visually?
It means keep your camera connected.
I invite you to stay connected.
It means keep your camera connected.
Oh, I see. Okay, I guess I intuitively felt that's what you're trying to say. Okay.
Yeah. And then let go of the thought disorders that brings up. That whatever it is, that there's something inadequate or wrong or whatever the thought is.
I'm performing.
There's your next forgiveness piece.
Susan was implying that she saw some performer's energy in me, and I said, I'm sure that's probably true, because that was absolutely expected from my mother. Oh, my God. I never had a chance. Whereas my mom, oh, God. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can pretend that it's about Mom, or we can go, oh, and look what I did.
Yeah. And where does that lead? Where does that lead to? look what I did?
Well, when I stopped denying, I never had a chance with Mom, like it was Mom's fault, and I start to acknowledge, in response to Mom, look what I did. Then I get to possess what's mine, what I did, and if it's painful, I can throw it away. I can forgive it. Whereas if I keep pretending it belongs to Mom, like see what Mom did to me, then I'm powerless over it.
I'm still not quite sure what I did. I mean, I assimilated myself and my brother and my sister. All three of us were profoundly shy about performing because that had been the expectation in our household. My sister used to dance like an invisible person, and my brother refused to be a concert pianist because he didn't want to be seen playing the piano, and I did whatever I did. So we all kind of went through that, but let's go back to what you just said again. Me and my taking ownership of this, of what I did in, what did I do?
I don't know.
allowed.
That's up to you. What's the thought disorder that you bought into? I have to be a certain way. I have to be good. I have to be great. I have to perform. Well, whatever the thought disorder is, and then apply forgiveness.
My
and let go
girlfriend
of
called
it.
me, and I think she's dying, and a close friend of hers died. And see, what were you just saying? What were you just saying?
What's the thought disorder?
No, you said I have
to do something a certain way.
Oh, yeah. It's like so many people think they have to become famous, and they can be great people and never be famous.
So is this they or is this you?
Well, me and my girlfriend I was talking to, and the man, and her Tony Tanner, the man who just died. We were all performers.
Yeah. So notice you can squeeze out lots of pain from that one.
Yeah, right.
Or you could take a breath and
but
let it go.
Performers all have this goal of becoming famous. You can't help it. It's just written into the script.
No, you can help it. You can help it. You write the script. Nobody writes the script for you. You write the script.
I wrote the script, and I never became famous, and that's fine with me. I'm fine being who I am. I'm fine being...
And you can change it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was then, and this is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remember that a moment ago, the pain was about, I am nothing. So that old thought disorder is still around.
Huh? What?
Well, I'm just inviting you to notice that just a matter of moments ago, there was a great deal of emotional energy came up around the thought of, I'm nothing, I have no value. And so I'd invite you to do some wake-up sheets around that and let that one loose.
Yeah, I will. And that's why it's very important for me to write them down, given the way my mind is working nowadays.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes because, one of the things I've noticed over the years is that really angry people remember everything, every word. And they have to do that to keep their story together. Once you decide to let go of that, what's it matter whether you remember everything? Like it's all in the past. Like
it's so much better to be in the moment. It's so much more fun.
There's no future in the past.
I don't even know what that means, really.
Well, just be with it for a little bit. Write it down.
Doesn't mean anything
future
in
the
moment.
past. Yeah. Time to let loose of the past.
What? Say it again.
Time to let loose of the past.
Let loose the past. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Good work.
Yay.
Sounds like you're right on track. Ready to do a whole other layer. That's awesome.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, I'll talk to you tomorrow then.
Okay,
You
blessings.
and all the rest of the gang.
Tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, be blessed.
Great.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.
All right, Miss Jeanie, we've got about 4 minutes left. 5 minutes. Anything else happening in the chat room? Anybody in the phone queue with a hand up?
Michelle says hello from Mexico.
Well, hey there from Mexico. Take our love there and pass hugs around, please.
She said Carrie's the best hostess and is really supportive of her healing journey. So
Sweet.
that is
That's
phenomenal. Awesome. Yeah. But there's no hands up. We're down to, well, counting the outro, we got 3 minutes.
All right. Well, then, if we have no hands up, let's take a minute to talk about the fact that we're just getting ready to go into the second week of a 14-week intensive. We started last Wednesday. If anybody's ready to jump on board and wants to take things to the next level, you know, you could, if you've got my phone number, you could call me, or you could drop Jeanie an email, JEANIE at whyagain.org. And give her your phone number, and I'll contact you. And you know, it's not too late to join us. You'd have a few assignments to catch up with, but we've got 13 weeks left to spread it out. And at the end of that 13 weeks, you'll be the proud owner of access to about 84 to 86 hours of video work from these last 2 intensives, and you know, it'll be there permanently for you to review and work with. And you'll have done a giant chunk of inner work. Most of the class, the last intensive, we had 25 people in that intensive besides Jeanie and I, and I think 17 or 18 of them were in this last Wednesday evening. So we're hoping everybody stays with us, creates an awesome space for the new folks who are in the intensive. And of course, we're there to be support in this ongoing rolling intensive. When you register in one of our intensives now that we do online, we're doing what we call a rolling intensive, and you'll be invited. The next time we do that same intensive, you'll be invited as a guest in the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, as we build the video library of processing work, questions and answers, and one. And the next one, and the next one, and the next one, as we build the video library of processing work, questions and answers, and work within the context of this particular topic, which is codependence to interdependence communication. And so if you would like to join us, you could let us know. And as we move forward with that intensive, we are blessed by everyone who participates, in the work that each one does opens a space to take things to the next level for everybody engaged in the process. So we appreciate you being here to be part of this conversation. If any particular parts struck you as important, once we're complete, you can go to our website, whyagain.org, and you can access the archive of this, a free MP3 you can download or